Klesha talk, obstacle talk. That's what Klesha means, is the obstacles. And there's five. Well, there's a lot more than five. But the five main ones are the five of the mind. There's a list within the Yoga Sutras about obstacles that the body might have to go through, that the physical self might have to go through. So it's not just something, in a movement practice or anything like that, but it's just getting older. Our bodies go through that. So there's those obstacles, there's that separate understanding of suffering. But today we're going to talk about the understanding of suffering that happens within the mind that we call the Kleshas. And the Kleshas are the obstacles of every moment. They're the obstacles of every instance. Because the first of them is the understanding of the illusion that surrounds us, or our ignorance to that illusion. So that's the first obstacle. And as you can imagine, it's not that easy to overcome. It's going to take a lot of study, it's going to take a lot of practice, a lot of mindfulness, but it's not easy to say, this chair and this sand underneath me and that water out in front of me and this air that is around me all are made up of the same substances, all are made up of the same finite atoms and material that is really based even still in just vibration. So all of this is vibrating around us at different frequencies to take different form in our material world. So that's just an easy, quick understanding of how we can break that illusion, that our ignorance to that illusion. Still, we're going to exist in it. Still, it's going to, influence us, and we're going to have to influence it. But to understand it gives us much higher grasp of how the influencing of it will go down, of how it influencing us will go down. Okay, the second obstacle is what it's influencing. The second thing it's influencing is the ego itself. And the word, I'll do the Sanskrit words for all this later. But the ego makes the attachments, and those attachments create our perception of the world around us. If I had grown up in Antarctica my whole life, then I would be used to freezing cold temperatures. So being in South Florida in this heat, this would not be enjoyable. This would not be fun. For me, with my Puerto Rican blood, this is very fun for me. Very fun. I love it out here. But with that relativity, we can understand the concept of ego's attachments. If that ego never made attachments to enjoyment of the cold, then when it came here, it would be ready to experience something outside of that relativity. If it had made the attachments only to heat, and I think this is probably the more common one and probably the one you'd fall into like your sister, Aunt, is when you're attached to the heat and then you go cold. That's a big no-no. We do not like that. And ego has a lot to say. Remove me from this cold. I do not like this. Ego is the I. To put it quite simply, ego is the I, the me, the we, the our, the mine. It's a childish little, pesky little bastard that is always going to be making you think me, I, mine all the time. Now we go to the third obstacle, which is how the ego is actually made, and it's the attachments. So it's the attachments that we make through our own experience, through our own circumstance, and through societal influence. Some of the attachments that we make have nothing to do with us. Some people hate people that they've never met, that they don't know anything about in real life, that they don't even know a person that knows that person. But they heard a story one time about that person, and they've created a perception, a world, and a judgment around that person based in those attached, based on the ability to make those attachments, to attach to those stories or just opinions of others. Similarly, this can have to do with our own attachment to past perception. So that's to say, if you see steam coming up out of a tub, you think that's got to be boiling water. But what if I was to tell you that it's dry ice? and you see that vaporous steam coming up out of the tub. So now it's completely cold, whereas you would have thought it was completely hot. So our attachments to perceptions can be wrong. And when we acknowledge that they can be wrong, then we can start to turn the key the other way, the right way. After attachments, we come to the aversions, so the emotional connections that is made. We stub our toe. We hate the thing that we stubbed the toe against. If it was just a door, that's a door. Last night I kicked something walking in the dark, and I could have hated the thing I kicked. I could have hated myself for putting it there. I could have had those kinds of intense emotions. I chose against it. Thankfully, that's the practice, training the mind not to react to those kinds of things. And that's intense emotion. We all have them. It's just our ability to either stifle them quickly or not react to them at all. And that's a seriously difficult practice, but it is one that is incredibly, incredibly powerful and worth every moment of practice. Every drop of sweat, every drop of blood, every tear shed, it's worth it. And they all build up. They all build up to the last obstacle, the fifth obstacle. And this is the big one. All of those are based in fear. All of those are based in fear. Fear that this is reality. It can't be an illusion. If it's an illusion, then everything I thought I knew is incorrect. And I'm going to have to start relearning things. No, don't make me do that. Fear. Ego. I am who I am. I have lived a life. And if I don't have a life, or those attachments that I've made, then who will I be? Fear. The attachments themselves. I like this thing. I like comfortable things. Attachments to those. Without them, you think you're going to be uncomfortable. Fear. Intense emotion. Hatred. Anger. Shame. Sadness. Ugh. All based in fear. So you can imagine what the last obstacle is. It's fear. But it's not fear on any one of those planes. It's not fear in any similar context at all. It's the highest fear. It's the greatest fear. It's the fear of death. That's the last obstacle. It's not going to be easy. This one is surely not going to be easy. This one takes something that the other ones don't take so much of, and that's faith. That's faith. We can scientifically study our way through the first few. Easily. Psychologically study our way through the first few in no time. But if we go to psychologically explain that last one, it's not so easy. I'll try right now, but it's not so easy. It's just to say this. Einstein, you might have heard of him, pretty smart guy. Einstein made the realization, and the scientific realization, that energy can't be created nor destroyed. So what is, has been, and forever will be. So that means that all of this existence, all of the energy, all of the vibration that exists around us has been and forever will be. That's you. That's the cells, that's the atoms that make up you. So if you have been, and you forever will be, where does the fear come in? Where does the fear of death come in? Where does the fear of loss come in? Okay, and it's based on the attachments, the emotion, the ego, blah, blah, blah. But if we're pulling all those things back, if we made it to that last step, looking out into the horizon, looking off the cliff's edge, faith is going to equip you with wings. And you won't stand on the edge of the cliff looking down, afraid to jump. You'll jump, and you'll fly, and you'll soar, and you'll know heights that you never knew possible. You'll know sights that you never knew existed, all based in that ability, that willingness to place faith over fear. Faith over fear. Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. Those are the 5 obstacles. Together, in the sutras, it's Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha, Kleshas. And those are the five, the pancha kleshas. Those are the five kleshas, the five obstacles. Just a quick recap. Ignorance to the illusion, ego, attachment, intense emotions like hatred, and that greatest fear, the fear of death. We can overcome them. That's why we practice. And I would love to share the practice with anyone that's willing, anyone that's seeking. Not just the physical practice, but more. They're looking for answers. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you again soon. Remember to share this, comment in it, like it, follow. What else am I supposed to say? All the things. Do all the things, and have a beautiful and blessed day. And I'll close it just like I started it. Let's give you a view of that gorgeous horizon. Wherever you are, know you are loved.